Hello, I'm Mike and welcome to the video. And this week I'm going to show you how I made this marvelous machine with its fantabulous lighting array and this almost real blunderbuss. So let's roll the intro and get straight into it. So off camera I've kind of worked out what I want to be on the face of this marvelous machine. I'm going to have several cutouts here that I'm going to put fabric on the back of, because inside this machine I'm going to put a big loop of multicolored LEDs that will be switched on, it'll all shine through. So I'm just going to start making these cutouts and then I'll assemble the box. So I kind of designed this around what I had. So the series of holes here match my Forstner bits, bar the big one, but I'll drill a hole and use the jigsaw to cut it. And again, using that same Forstner bit, I'm drilling out the corners of this panel. That not only allows me to get the jigsaw in to cut the panel, but also gives me a nice detail in those corners. And just watching this back now, I really wish it was this quick in reality, because I had one whole day to make this, because that's how this game works, unfortunately. The main body of this is very simple. It's just a box. You can see as well I cut a panel out of the end here, so there'll be light coming from two sides. When we have this assembled, then we start working on the bits that make it fancy, the bits that make it nice. Because I'm putting in LEDs, I'm going to need access to A, put them in, and B, if anything goes wrong, fix them. So this whole side of the box I'm just putting together with glue and nails, and the back then is going to be put on screws. That allows me in the future to take the back off, repair panels, change LEDs, that kind of thing. And this coming up here is why you never have your hand anywhere near where the nail could be. So this pin just found its way out the side. Always be careful, keep your hands well away, because trust me, that would have hurt. So this project was a real test of inventiveness, because of the time frame. It was originally meant to be a machine, but it didn't work out. So I looked around my workshop and saw what I had that I could combine and create the effect that was required. In this case, I had these three funnels that I had bought ages ago and hadn't used for anything else. So I came up with the idea of putting them upside down in the top here and feeding the LED through them. So when we switch it on, we have lights coming through the panel and then up through these vents, doing their purpose of whatever it may be. And it did turn out pretty good. Maurice can't carry this in his hand, so it has to have a base. And again here, just working with materials I had one piece of ply that I can make the sides, so I cut them at an angle to create a nice kind of visual for the base.
And just using some 3x1 here, I'm adding arms that will hold up this box. It's all very lightweight, the whole thing could lift it with one hand, so I'm not worried about falling over or anything. So I'm just very quickly making this up here. It's a very simple box construction, kind of all the fancy elements will come via paint later. So now with the basic structure done, I'm going to apply some finish, and I'm using a method here that I find works well on stage, makes timber look like timber. So I'm just painting on some burnt umber acrylic paint, and then I buff it off with a paper towel. This creates a lot of variation in the finish, spreads it out, and it really stands out on stage, and it's a really quick way of finishing. With that all done, then I just put it on the base piece here, just a piece of 18mm ply, and then screw it down. This I'll paint black so it disappears, and yeah, that's almost that done. All I need to do is a couple of screws into the base, a couple of screws into the top, and then we can start looking at the lighting array.
Now, if you can see, I have these holes, and behind them I'm going to put a multicolored LED, which makes this fabulous machine seem like it's doing something. But I don't want to see the LEDs, so we're going to make our very own DIY diffuser here. This is really cheap and easy. Hopefully it'll work. So here on my desk I have a simple run-of-the-mill document folder. The cover of this is already rough, so it's going to diffuse the light, but we want to make sure we can't see the LEDs through it. First thing I'm going to do here is I'm just going to get my knife and I'm going to cut this off, because I don't need the green part because the light won't go through it. And I'm just going to tape this down the corners, and we're going to go over it very lightly and very carefully with a sander and a very fine grit. This should scratch up the back of this enough that you can't easily see through it, but a light will easily pass. So I want to keep this taut, I don't want to tear. And now we shall see if it works. This is why I'm using fine sandpaper, because if I use rough sandpaper that would have tore that completely and I had wear through it. Now just give it a bit of direction. I'm going to go over with some flat sandpaper, not flat sandpaper, normal sandpaper. Same grip, up and down. And if I've done it right, all those scratches should make that paper diffuse, so you can see light through it, but you can't really see what's behind it.
Now, to fix this, I'm going with a very technical method. It's called sellotape. So yeah, I'm just taping this down to the inside. It's not going to get any pressure, and I don't want it to tear. So I'm just kind of tacking this in with normal, well, I'm going to call it sellotape. They're not going to sue me. And I go back over it then with some packing tape. It's just thicker and heavier. And I do the same then for the series of holes at the front, because I want the light to come through there. It's all very simple, and I don't think I need to show you much more. Let's just pause here for a second, because a lot has happened off camera due to time constraints. So on the front here, I've added some kind of gold detailing, just using gold paint to add visual interest to the front. And also I went up into my attic and found an old aerial and sprayed it gold to put something basically on that side. Again, just to add, the more layers I can add to this, the more fantastical it will look. So now we'll take it back over to Live Mike, who'll explain what we're going to do with the LEDs.
So with that, a few little touches of paint and an aerial. Who uses them anymore? Almost ready. The last thing is lights, because we want this to be shiny and spectacular. So I've made this very simple piece. It'll go in side of this. I'm just going to wrap with LEDs, and we should be good to go. So let's do that.
The LEDs I'm using here are battery powered and adhesive backed, which allows me, in this instance, basically to just stick it down wherever I want. They're not going to be seen to create that array. And also from a practical point of view on stage, then they can be switched on and off by the actor who's using them. So we'll just keep doing that until I'm happy. I want to leave a little bit of loose LED that at the end that'll allow me to feed it up to those funnels to create the effect that I want.
Now, proof of the pudding will be in the, as I say, tasting. That's pretty cool. But it'll look a lot better on stage.
So stuff happened. When we tested this out in a few rehearsals, it just needed more. So I borrowed a load of pieces from another set piece maker and we put it all together, and it really does shine.
Now to finish off with a bang, quite literally, because I need to make a blunderbuss. Now luckily for me, I'm not the only member of my family that's called upon to make weird stuff, so I have this blank, which is going to make my stock. This is a model of a Star Og, and to make my blunderbuss I simply have a piece of pipe, and a plastic megaphone, and there's your blunderbuss. I also turned a little cap when I was turning the bottom of the mirror. So now it's only a matter of adjusting this to look like what I want it to look like, sanding it down, extending this groove in the top so that I can sit my pipe in, and finishing it. It'll look like a blunderbuss. Hopefully that won't happen. Jeez. The first thing, start trimming some of the unnecessary stuff off this. We'll glue our pipe up so we have our barrel.
Well, the most accurate tool you're going to have is your eye. So for something like this that's round, I'm just rotating it and making sure that front part isn't moving around. Because if it looks right, it is right. And when I'm happy, then I'm just filling all the area that's at the back there where it flares out with hot glue, because I do not want this to come apart. So this is all nice and locked in. And I also sanded the end of this pipe to make sure there's a bite for that hot glue. And then just using a little bit of water on the tip of my finger, I'm smoothing that out so it all looks nice and good. So I spent a little bit of time here working and reworking the shape of this blank that I have for the stock. So I'm happy enough now with the shape and position of my barrel. So the first thing I'll need to do then is extend that slot backwards, because I don't want the barrel sticking too far. I want to keep everything nice and in scale. So a good tip if you're going to use a drill like I am to remove most of the material is to basically work your way down, going in about a mil, making sure that all your spacings are right, and that'll give you enough space to actually drill out all the holes. So we're now shaping the stock, and I put the magazine back in to fill the hole because it was mortised in. Then all I needed to do was take this green and get rid of it so we could have a nice wood stock. In order to push this over the edge, I needed some hardware, and for that I bought a child's toy and cut the bits I wanted off and sprayed them gold.
I'm hunting rabbits. Yeah, I mean bad. Now the fun part of painting and making it look like it's all made out of bits of wood and plastic. And after the paint is dried, the reference image I had here was kind of a copper bronzy colour, so this was been painted. I added a small piece of leather here to create a holding strip. And of course, if it's a real gun, the inside of the barrel will be black from all that black powder. We have ourselves a stage-ready blunderbuss.
Thank you as always for watching to the end of the video. Make sure to like, share, subscribe and all that fun stuff. And absolutely do try this at home.